a witness on the second sketch. The first one was based mainly, I've said this probably 58 times now. The first sketch that was created was the one of the young person that we were looking at. That one was based on a witness. The second sketch created, the one of the older person, but the first sketch released, was based almost solely off of the video itself. Okay, there you go.
That the sketch that you see behind you was a face-to-face encounter with a citizen of Delphi.
Okay, so you think that actually somebody interacted with him, talked to him, saw him in a store, street, something, somewhere, somehow?
We do. The person we believe to be the killer on the hybrid.
Bathroom. That's Kay's neighbor. Okay. And when she let her dog out to go to the bathroom because they were getting ready to go into town. And at the end of that road, 625, is Kay's gate. And there was a man, clearly not from there. She knew that he did not live around there, was on foot, standing there, looking towards the woods, like trying to look like assess, the lay of the land.
And is it my understanding that she helped? And
so when I was talking with Kay, she told me that when the neighbor was called in to sit down and give the sketch, I think this was within the first few days. So the lady, I was going to go back to that man standing there. She described him as dark. I mean, like, so her husband in their vehicle to drive away, and she locked eyes with the man, and she remembers distinct. Now, this is before there was any word that the girls were missing or anything. It made her shudder. She said it was pure evil. So when she found out that the girls were missing and that they had been looking, she immediately called the police. She called in. I think she is Tobe's mother-in-law, by the way. Called in to tell what she had seen. And then later, so
and you heard this information from her yourself?
From Kay Weber, who's good friends with her when I was there.
Okay, so this is this information you learned directly from her?
Yes. This is one person removed from the lady. Okay.
Oh, real quick, before I forget, I'm sure somebody asked her by now, like, was it Tony Klein that you saw, or was it Keegan Klein that you saw?
Let me go back to that, because later, I was out there. I thought Anthony Greeno did good things with his videos, despite his personal life. I know people say things, but he was doing a pretty good job, just making his videos out there. So I was.
You know what prison Anthony Greeno is in right now? Because
I'm not implicating him. Okay, just let's preface this up. She the neighbor that saw the man standing there described the man that she saw as kind of like dark like that, and more of a slighter build, not real big. So when she did this,
like maybe like Latin, might be Hispanic or something along those lines.
She didn't say. She was like dark, evil. I kind of got the feeling because
dark skin or dark aura.
Well, I took it as I at first thought dark skin because she was shown a picture of Anthony Greeno. She's like, yeah, it kind of looks like the guy that was standing there. But then when she said dark, I asked Kay, and she's like, well, I think it was more dark as in dark because he was evil, but he had the darker like features, but she said he wasn't black. Okay, so that's all I know. So then when Kay says, she was really. Then when Kay says, she was really the neighbor was very disappointed because when she sat for the sketch artist, there was another individual there that was also giving the account that I think later they found out, oh, you saw somebody else. But they were having two different sketches, but the same sketch artist. And when they showed her the picture, she's like, yes, that's who I saw. So
what picture?
Well, she fully expected that the picture that was released the first time, the guy that looks closer to the guy on the bridge, the very first release, she expected the picture that they showed her to be that picture. And she was extremely disappointed, according to Kay. She said, that is not the picture. That is not who I described. That is not the photo they showed me that was almost identical to the way I described it. This is a completely different sketch. That is
Why
not,
did they go? Why did they switch it up? So apparently they went back to what she was trying to tell them, and that was the changing of the directions, I'm assuming.
that's
So
what
what
I
was it that
believe.
they heard? What was it that
That,
they heard out there that made them kind of lean more towards the older looking?
and remember, this is just my opinion because I'm not the authority on anything.
Of
And I'll
course,
just,
of course.
and I'll
All
just
of
say
this is
that.
our opinions, and
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, just so people understand that I'm not acting like I know everything because I don't.
All right. Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Do you know when the makeup snow days were first known to the girl?
Who's seen it? They're confused. Was it Kay, or was it
No,
Kay's neighbor?
it was. I mean, I hate to like dox people or whatever, like to say, but the lady that lives that lives at the gate. Does everybody know who that is? TL.
Yeah, I know.
I'll
I
just
know
say
who it
TL.
is, but those are the
Okay.
questions that they're having for you.
Okay,
But I
yeah.
know exactly who you're talking about.
I'm speaking of TL. Okay, and so there's never been anything formally established that this person participated, but he was there that day around. I believe she said between 1 and 1:30 was. So when you start connecting some dots, it definitely appeared that this person could have potentially had some involvement because he shows up out of the blue, never been there, nobody had ever seen him before. Clearly, she said it was very obvious he did not belong there, and he's standing there looking around,
What
getting
time was
ready.
this? Do you know?
Yeah, it was between 1 and 1:30, and
Okay.
he's standing there looking around like he's getting ready to start.
I grew up in small towns, I mean, like y'all are living in, and if somebody showed up that didn't belong, you stuck out like a sore thumb because you knew everybody and everybody knew. And then if some transient showed up, they just stuck out like a sore thumb. Did anybody?
No, and you know what? I'm just going to say, because I've been there several times. For someone to be out there standing, that would be highly suspicious and very very unusual. The only time you'd see somebody walking along there would, Kay said that Abby and Libby, she saw several times come through. There was a certain path that the girls would take all the time to come to that end of the bridge when they would come from Abby's house. But for anybody, just some guy to be there alone on foot, standing there, a grown man, this was something that was out of the ordinary. And then you put that with this case at the timing and everything. There was question about, did this person have involvement? If you go back to that very first initial press conference, and then later, Burston,
Yeah.
Burston clearly.
Keep in mind that there the likeliness of the possibility of more than one person. We're not saying that the voice that you heard is the same as this person here. This is all very complicated, very involved, and
Burston.
Yeah.
Burston clearly says, you guys see just what's in front of you to journalists. You don't see what's over here or over here. And we're not saying that the person you see on the bridge, that voice necessarily belongs to him. We're saying that the person on the bridge at least participated in the murders. So everybody has to keep
Sounds
that
like
in
an
mind.
ambush or something.
no, I can't say that because we weren't there. We know that voice was captured from her cell phone. We know this image was captured from her cell phone. Keep in mind, all of you are in the television business. What do you see out of the TV? You see this. You don't see what's over here. You don't see what's over here. So there's lots more that we're looking at.
As I indicated before, the reason we believe this is suspects is based on the totality of the evidence that we've gathered thus far. That has led us to believe this is the person that at least participated in the murders of Liberty German and Abigail Williams.
So everybody has to keep
Sounds
that
like
in
an
mind.
ambush or something.
It just sounds like there was potentially somebody else on that other side. Basically, you corral. You walk across the bridge. They kind of get cornered. Somebody else is on the other end. There's nowhere to go. Then you get directed and led to where they were.
So would you say this darker person was seen closer to the bridge, or maybe closer on kind of, how the bridge kind of leads out in between both properties?
Yeah, it would have been certainly closer to the bridge than being at the north end of the trail. I mean, because that's to get to the bridge. But Case driveway is very long, and but you can cut right through there. and you don't have to go down the driveway. You just cut down the ravine and go through the woods a little bit. And she has a few paths. She and her husband took me on their 4-wheeler and were showing me areas of their house. Yeah. So as far as the sketch goes, I talked with Kay about it, and she said, yeah, I think she was referring to Teresa, but I don't know for sure. I don't know. So the lady that saw that was the sketch that she gave. So there were 2 different images given. The one image, which the young girl at the time, they pressed her when they decided that they were going to put this second sketch out and just basically do a 180 because those sketches are so far different.
Mm-hmm.
They contacted her and her dad, her family, to let, at least I thought it was nice to let them know ahead of time. I don't know this directly from them. I know this one person in between. I try to get as close to the source I can, if not the source, and I have been able to some, but not all. So this is, if you want to say it's hearsay because it's not the actual source, but I was told that law enforcement did contact her to let her know, hey, we're gonna go with this sketch. Are you sure that this wasn't the guy you saw? We really think that this is it. Just think. And she did not waver. She's like, no, that is not.
Does this lead you to believe that maybe somebody was giving false information to police that were on scene?
No, I don't think. No, I don't think false information. I think this girl did see an individual.
No, not her false information. I'm thinking whoever was providing information for the older sketch. Do you think it's possible that those people were giving misinformation?
No, because the young girl that gave the information, described the first older sketch.
Oh, okay.
So that's where the confusion was. She described it. I don't know if you guys knew who Doug Rice was, but he's passed away. He was a friend, and he was so into this as well. And he did talk to her and her mother, and the way that it was described to him was there was 4 girls out there. She was out there with her sister as they just met. The crazy thing is when Libby and Abby were dropped off, like 138 or whatever it was, they started on the 501 trail towards the bridge. The other girls at the time that they were dropped off were down at the waters, like right down at the water. So you go to the 505 trail and basically it ends and you have to go through the woods to get all the way down there to the water where you.
Do you know what that group consisted of? Just all young teens, or were they with some young adults as well?
Young teens, four girls. Yeah. And so they even took a selfie down at the water, sent it to their mom up from like Snapchat. And then they came back up, and as they're coming back up, because the trail split so much, they missed the girls. They were on the path, the trail at the same time, but they missed the girls. So Abby and Libby were going to the bridge. The other girls, they had passed them, and then they were on their way out.
Towards Freedom.
Towards Freedom Bridge. And when they were almost all the way out, I'd say more than 3/4 of the way out, this man came on the trail, and the other girls were, doing what girls do, laughing and giggling and that sort of thing.
What time was this? Do you know?
She estimated it that it was between 1:30 and 1:45 till 2. So she was.
Can I step in real quick?
Sure.
On my timeline, I have at some point a neighbor who lives by the trail's entrance lets her dog outside.
That's
her
the
dog
lady I
is
was talking to.
This is not unlike any other rural community anywhere in America. It's not a typical a trailhead where there's a great big parking area where people come and go from a central place. It's accessible from multiple areas, multiple places in a very rural area.
Yeah.
So it does set it apart. It makes it a little bit different.
Yeah. Now,